I want to share my own process with you regarding stress and relaxation and breath, of course. And I also want to summarize what we did in retreat. And hopefully it will be a helpful reminder for those people who attended the retreat, and maybe a bit of a new information for those who were not there. So this whole idea of the retreat about relaxation started with the thought that, of course, it would be wonderful to relax, it would be wonderful to be in hot pools, and there is a need to repair the nervous system by using the minerals from hot springs, because the nervous system gets highly affected by hyperventilation, and it does need some rejuvenation, which is difficult to create in our daily environments. So that's how it all started. But then it went much deeper. I started thinking about integration of relaxation in our lives. And, it's good to spend 5 days at hot spring resorts, but what we are really going to take with us. And Molly, I'm very grateful to you. You addressed this question very directly in your email. And it started, a profound process for me. So when I started looking deeper at the topic of stress and relaxation, I realized that it penetrates everything, every day and every hour of our time and of our lives. And what does it mean being relaxed? It actually means, in a way, to be at peace. Because when we feel truly peaceful, we are relaxed. And the opposite is also true. When we don't feel at peace, we always feel stressed. So how to get to this place of relaxation? And I remember that one of my teachers, a Tibetan Rinpoche, said that people often think that they need to cultivate kindness and love, peace and relaxation. And it's true, it's a good practice. But in general, but maybe in addition to cultivating it, they need to remove obscurations. And if we remove obscurations, then relaxation or peace will be automatically present. In fact, in Dharma, it's called the natural state or nature of mind. So the assumption is that we are naturally relaxed, but we all have some thoughts, some traumas from the past, some fears, which obscure this innate state of relaxation. And the best visual thing for it, an example demonstration, is a clear sky, and the clouds on the sky, which obscure this state. And the proof for this whole thing, I believe, is in therapy. I know that we have at least 2 therapists in this group, Harry and Barbara. And, I was thinking about the work, maybe more, and I was thinking about the work of therapists. So therapists help to integrate, we could say maybe erase, but integration is a better word. Let's say traumas, right? So the trauma becomes not dense anymore. And when it's not present or is less dense, then it gets replaced naturally by peace and relaxation. Like, Barbara, would you agree with it? That right? Yeah. So that's like the basic principle of the therapy, right? That's what therapists do. So basically, they help us to move closer to our innate state of relaxation. And this state is available for us all the time. It exists in every moment. And if right now we just look at our surroundings, look around, we could see that our surroundings are very peaceful. We are at a peaceful environment right now. We just need to be able to connect with this moment. So in a way, stress and relaxation are two opposites. When we are relaxed, we cannot be stressed. And if we are stressed, we are not relaxed. And that's why it's so important to become aware of our stressors. Of course, it's natural for all of us to run away from something we don't like and try to get closer, run to what we like. It's totally normal and typical to run away from our stressors. In fact, I remember that when in the retreat I asked the participant to define their stressors, Melissa, you said that my stressor is trying to define my stressors, right? Totally understandable. So we do need to look at our stressors, at the monsters, and make them our pets or befriend them. There is no other way to feel relaxed. And the first, of course, step is to become aware of them. So I tried to define the main stressors. I have my notes here. I'm going through them. Yeah. So there are gross stressors and kind of subtle stressors. And the first type of stress is physiological stress, and it's really mouth breathing. So mouth breathing creates an acute state of hyperventilation, and hyperventilation impacts the whole body, everything in the body, creating a physiological stress. So we remove this stress, and most of you already accomplished this step by establishing nasal breathing. So this is clear to everyone, right? It's the very basis of the Buteyko method. However, this process is based on awareness of breathing, right? And awareness is a problem because if you are not aware, you cannot change it. So during the retreat, I had, I want to say I had the privilege to observe people's breathing, participants' breathing. And sometimes I would see people breathing through their mouth. It wasn't happening a lot. It was happening just here and there a little bit. But it's because lack of awareness. So what I'm saying here that we all need to work on our awareness of nasal breathing, because sometimes we are not aware. I'll give you an example. Like we were playing with tempering, we were doing tempering. And we were taking a cold shower. So when you take a cold shower, the body reacts to it as stress. But because this stress is very short and local, it's not dangerous. And we reprogram the body to think that it's not dangerous by breathing through the nose, right? However, the initial reaction is to do this. And this is a stress situation, so it's difficult to notice it. So it was happening with some participants during the retreat. And this is just an example. So we need to keep increasing our awareness and eliminating mouth breathing unless it's done by choice, as in Peter's case. Peter said that he chooses to breathe through the mouth sometimes, so that's good. That that's a choice. So you're aware of it. It's not happening because you are not aware of it. So I want to ask everyone, like, do you sometimes breathe through your mouth or you don't? Just think about it. You don't need to answer it, but just answer it for yourself. Are there any instances when you breathe through your mouth still? Maybe when you talk, maybe when you exercise, maybe when you sleep, maybe at work, maybe when you're facing problems with the customer service. The list is endless. Right? So just answer this question. And if the answer is yes, that means that you are creating a physiological stress to your body, right? So it's like check mark. I am a creator of my stress. So the second source of stress is a low level of CO2. Dr. Buteyko said that CO2 in the lungs is the main regulator of all functions of the body. When this level is low, something is off, whether we have symptoms or not, but something is off. So again, it creates a physiological stress for the body, a kind of a domino reaction, train wreck. So just a low level of CO2 could trigger symptoms. I remember that many years ago, I was breaking up with my boyfriend, and it was very stressful for me, even though I wasn't showing it. And I had rash like on my cheek, like everything here was red. Right? I know it's like would never happen now because my breathing is completely different, but that was a direct connection between stress and symptoms. So everyone who has asthma knows that stress could easily trigger an asthma attack, right? Yeah. So often a low level, or let's say that a low level of CO2 is often caused by two things. We already discussed nasal breathing, so I'm not mentioning it. I'm not going to mention it. So the first one is the lifestyle. Yeah, David, you're absolutely right that, if we would have a more natural lifestyle, our numbers would be better. Absolutely. And the second cause is chronosepsis. So chronosepsis often keeps numbers down. And that's why it's so important to look at this stressor and deal with it. So eliminating chronosepsis and improving the lifestyle are the solutions. So when those two factors, or maybe when those two problems are more or less solved, then we have to deal with our mental tension, which becomes a stressor, a trigger for stress. And this is much more difficult, right? Because mouth breathing, we sometimes miss it, but it's not that difficult to notice. You could just put tape, little piece of tape on your mouth, and then you know that you are breathing through the mouth, right? So in a way, it's very easy. A low-level CO2 also, it's for some people somewhat easy, because if your level of CO2 is low, you have symptoms, right? Or you're not feeling well because of chronic sepsis. So it's obvious. But mental tension is not that obvious, and it's really easy to miss. And then it also decreases our CO2. Dr. Buteyko said in general that stress and hyperventilation are not the same. And yet, if hyperventilation is present, stress is present. And if stress is present, hyperventilation is present. So they always come together. And so the higher you move at Dr. Buteyko's chart, the more you need to deal with subtle stressors, which are difficult to notice. And that's why in retreat, we worked with like our main stressors, but also we worked with very small, sometimes tiny stressors of the day. And from my perspective, they're just as important as big stressors. I remember Barbara, like the last day, right? And I said that it seems like all of us are inside, on outside we experience people, adults and all of that. But on the inside, we are just innocent children. And I said that after Barbara said that Barbara was doing meditation in the pool, and you wanted to move, but you were thinking like, if I move, what other people would think about me. So you didn't move, and that thought was stressful, right? So all of us have plenty of stressors like that during the day, each day, and we need to notice them. So then if we talk about, if we'll discuss mental stressors, of course, there are many types, but the main ones are traumas from the past. And I see that more and more when I work one-on-one with my clients. I have a lot of examples of that. So my biggest realization was that this type of stressors don't exist. Right? We just constantly recreate them in our minds. They only exist in our mental world, in our mental bubble. And because they exist only in our mental bubble, and we are creators of it, it's actually not that difficult to change them or not to be affected by them. And so, David, when we talked earlier, it was like you were saying that the thought of that you need to turn your life upside down was making you feel stressed, right? And I was saying, well, it's the thought which is making you stressed. It's not the reality, it's just a thought. So what I realized that the first step is really to disconnect or separate our thoughts and our reality. The trauma of the past already happened in the past. It doesn't exist in now. It doesn't exist in the present moment, which is always a peaceful moment. So if we are able to connect to with a present moment through our mindful breathing, which is the most basic, probably the oldest and the most used technique, is I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I know I'm breathing in, I know I'm breathing out. So when we can separate it, it all becomes easier, because then we are dealing not with the reality, but with not with the physical reality, but only with our thoughts. So the tools for it is to imagine the main stressor and to do mindful breathing, to breathe through, which some people already mentioned today, and making that mental creation less dense. And I would like to invite everyone to practice it for a few minutes right now. So imagine a stressor, a stress trigger, preferably a person, but it could be a situation or a place or anything else. So imagine it right in front of you and breathe through it into this moment, into here and now, being mindful of your breathing. So I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm not breathing. I'm fully aware of my stressor, and I'm fully aware that at this moment, everything is peaceful, everything is all right. So let's do that for a couple of minutes. Okay. Thank you. You might want to practice it at home or every time you feel stressed. We just don't have much time during this meeting. So you might experience that your stress trigger, your stressor became less dense. This is a normal outcome of this exercise. And it can become less stress because it's just in your mind, right? In our minds, nowhere else. So we could always breathe through the stress and connect with the present moment, which is always peaceful. And another way to approach it, and this works really well if the stressor is a person, is to breathe through the mental image of this person, but instead of connecting to a present moment, you connect to an obscure nature of this person. So remember the beginning, that we all are innately relaxed, right? And everything like blue sky and the clouds. So we can see someone else as a stressor because we are connecting to acknowledging their obscurations, right? What if we try to connect to the blue sky of this person, to that nature of the person which became obscure, but it actually relaxation and love and peace. So imagine someone in your life, maybe from your far past or maybe from this time, doesn't matter. Imagine this person in front of yourself. And let's do a little bit of mindful breathing again. Breathe in, breathe out. Stop breathing, but connect to an obscure nature, nature of this person. Thank you. Usually, yes, Jesse, you want to say something?
Afterwards, just a brief thing.
All right. So when I do this exercise, I always feel more relaxed. Kind of connecting my natural state of relaxation with the person's natural state of relaxation, bypassing all the clouds. Then another wonderful tool, and we use it during the retreat too, was imagination, a tool which, every child knows how to use, a tool which often used in spiritual traditions, but many adults lose it somehow. So rewiring is one of them. We will observe that when people become overtaken by emotions, we start breathing through the mouth, right? Chris, remember your story about your dog dying? And so you might want to do redreaming, and just play the whole story, which again exists only in your mental world right now, in your mind again, and make it less stressful for yourself. And then when it happens, you might want to do rewiring as well, and to tell this story to someone, but breathing peacefully through your nose. Right? But we have those tools. And speaking about using the imagination, like we all had a meeting with Gabriel, one of the speakers during the retreat, who gave us a lot of tools to work with using our imagination. And the main ones, I think 3 main ones. I remember 3 main ones. One is to imagining your divine mother and divine father and talking to them and relaxing into this love. And another one was dropping angels. So when a memory from the past bothers you, because you are the creator of this memory, you can play with it like children plays with it and drop angels in those situations which were stressful for you in the past. So we're kind of running out of time, and I don't know if I should shorten it, We'll see how it goes. Well, are you okay with it? Yeah, fine, thank you. So, and then another category is fears of the future. You know, a very big category. All of us, innocent children, are afraid of some aspects of the future, and it makes us breathe more, decreases our CO2, and creates stress on all levels. So in the retreat, we talked about those fears because normally it's kind of socially inappropriate to talk about it, right? What if I became extremely ill and disabled? What happened? What will happen? What if I lose all my money and will not have means to support myself? What if a natural disaster happens? What if a political disaster happens, right? So all of this affects us. But if we at least acknowledge that it's happening in the mental, in our mental bubble, right? And we are creators of it, and it's nothing to do with a peaceful moment, it becomes easier to deal with it. So again, the first step seems to be separating the mental world from the physical world. When we did this exercise, another Melissa, who is not present here, she imagined that, you know, she lost all her money and the means to support herself. And she realized that in this case, she would be homeless, living on a beach close to her house, I think, or to her area. And she said, that would be my dream life. I always wanted to do that. And she was so happy about it. So this is one category of kind of, I call it mundane fears of the future. We all are affected by them. And another category is a bit more significant, and it's so-called existential anxiety. And I learned about it from the teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni. So he said that anyone who is born on this planet as a human experiences anxiety in the background of our existence. And this anxiety is related to what's inevitable, which is becoming old, becoming ill, and eventually dying, and separating from everything you love. And that everything includes everything. People we love, food we like to eat, our favorite activities, and everything, really everything. So the remedy for it is to look at it and practice radical acceptance. And until we are able to accept this difficult fact of life, it will actually shorten our life, and by making us breathing more, making us hyperventilate. And I also want to say that this is the last thing, and I'll stop, that kind of a remedy for it all seems a mixture, which is a spiritual path, any authentic spiritual path, mixed together with Buteyko breathing. And it seems that often one of them doesn't work. It really has to be merged, has to be, it has to be a mixture. I often see that an authentic spiritual path, when it's combined with mouth breathing, that creates constant chronic physiological stress, is not very effective. And I also see that better breathing, peaceful breathing, mindful breathing always leads to spirituality, just as it's shown on Dr. Buteyko's chart. The very bottom of the chart, intense suffering, intense diseases, feeling totally being a victim of your life, and you're moving up and you're feeling that you're more and more in control and you're able to accept also your life, and the life becomes more peaceful, more relaxed. And it also seems that it increases people's abilities to be more in the moment and to be less overtaken by concepts, any concepts, which could create acute and chronic stress. So for me, it was a big realization that relaxation is always available for me, literally always. And I don't need to do complicated relaxation techniques, though they're very helpful. I have every tool I need, which is mindful breathing, breathing with awareness, and connecting to the present moment, because it's relaxing and peaceful all the time. So I just wanted to share this with you. It did change my life. I hope it will last longer, but after, or become stable, but after the retreat, I definitely feel that I'm not affected by my old stressors. And sometimes it's difficult to notice them because things happen very fast, but I do see a big change in myself. And I hope that the participants experienced it as well. Thank you.